I see that we're getting close to 1. I have a few comments. We may run a little long. If you have to leave, feel free to do so. I will only fine you $100 or something. Now we look forward to our upcoming year. We've got our new and returning board members, Jennifer Moss, Autumn Phillips, who couldn't be here today, Michelle Bartlemay, and Bob Olin-Salen. Our new members are Chris Green, Melinda Anderson, and Karen Walker. We also have our stalwart and strong foundations of Kevin and Richard, who are always there. They are foundation. As far as I can see, the only weakness we have is in the new president. Fortunately, though, Rotary is not about its president, nor is it really about its board members. It's about its membership and those who give and those who serve. I've been thinking back over the last week about why am I a Rotarian? What is it in my past, in my life, or in the lives of those that came before me that led to me to the decision to become a Rotarian? I have 3 instances that I can recall. As Danny mentioned earlier, my mom was born and raised in Ireland. She immigrated here when she was 16 years old, moved to live with her brother, who had previously immigrated to America because her parents wanted her to have a better life. I recall, as I was young, my grandfather sitting at his feet as he would tell me stories of when he lived in Ireland. And in the 40s, he married my grandmother. He, a devout Protestant, married my grandmother, a devout Catholic. And if you know anything about that area in those times, that was a very volatile situation. Their families were opposed to it. They were opposed to each other and disowned my grandparents after they were married. Those families did unite together, though, later on when my grandparents decided to convert to Mormonism, because that was the only thing worse than a Protestant or a Catholic. Now, I can still recall as a child my grandfather telling me this story and pleading with me and my brothers and sister that we would never let prejudices cause us to look down on the people around us and in the world. Remember to be kind to everyone, he would say. In my mind, this ideal is embodied in Rotary's theme, service above self. I remember another story that my grandfather would teach me or tell me in between singing Irish Eyes and Sammy Boy and other Irish folk tunes. He taught me about service. My uncle, his 2 oldest sons, served in the British Navy and the Royal Air Force. They loved and served their country and communities. My favorite story, though, was a story from my grandfather, who served in the British Army during World War II. Now, I don't remember the details of this story because the details weren't as cool as the end result. You see, my grandfather had a metal plate in his head and a piece of shrapnel right above his lip when he got caught in an explosion while he was in Germany. Like I said, I don't remember what happened. All I remember is how cool it was that my grandpa had a metal plate in his head. And I remember him telling us often how that reminded him of the proud service he gave to his country during that time of need. Again, in my mind, this is an ideal embodied by Rotary's theme, service above self. Finally, I turned to my dad's dad, my paternal grandfather. His name was Louis Arrington. Many of you may have known him. He lived here in Twin Falls for much of his life. He did not grow up in a foreign land. He did not get disowned when he married the love of his life. He did not get injured in a war. In all respects, he lived a boring life. To those who didn't know him, he probably wasn't that spectacular of a person, but to me, he was everything. And I remember, as I grew up, sitting and visiting with my grandpa and working with him as he would build houses and schools and banks and other fixtures and buildings that have just become a part of our normal life here in Twin Falls. What I found remarkable about my grandfather, though, was how he never stopped working. He would work sun up to sundown during the week, and on the weekends he was busy pruning his orchard and working in his garden, which were the envy of the neighborhood. I remember long after the age when most of his contemporaries were retiring, he was still out building buildings, building schools, working in his garden. He was still working. Now, although some of his capacities may have diminished some, he wasn't able to climb up the ladder as quickly, and he couldn't move that pile of 2x4s over here. he still had a lot to offer to the others on the work site. And those young, strapping, strong construction workers who were moving the wood and who were doing the heavy lifting looked up to him for his experience and for the opportunities and teachings that he could provide them. To me, that is exactly what a Rotary Club is all about. We're all at the job site. Some of us have been here for a few years, others have been here for, well, we saw 50 plus years. Some of us are strong and can lift the heavy lifting and run the marathon. Others can offer advice and wisdom and experiences from days gone by and lessons learned. However, we are all Rotarians. We're all here. We're all at this job site, and we're all working, and it behooves all of us to help and to assist and to lift. This year we're going to be doing things a little different. We have these committee sign-up sheets that I hope have been working their way around. We're changing things up a little bit from times in the past. The thing that we need to remember about Rotary is only as good as its membership. In the past, we've had committee sign-ups where we've, well, let me say this. The first change you might notice is that not every committee has a sign-up for members for that committee. That's just because there are some committees that don't need a whole group of people working all the time. I think to the Spirit of the Magic Valley and some of our local projects where those things are set up and then Kevin comes and he asks for help. Every member of the Rotary Club should be offering to help in those times, not just people who have signed up for those committees. The other change you might notice, in years past we've been asked to sign up for 2 committees, and if we didn't sign up we were kind of filled in blanks and assigned. Well, that has proven to be rather ineffective, as you might imagine. We're not going to be signing anybody up for any committee this year. That is our hope that you as Rotarians, for whatever reason you've joined Rotary, that you will sign up for a committee. We're not going to ask you to do anything you don't want to do, although I might add, some committee chairs may call and ask you to serve on their committee. Please do so if you're asked, but again, no one's going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. Perhaps you may want to sign up for 1 committee or 2 or for all of them. That is up to you. But please sign up and help. We're all plenty busy in our lives. All of us have a million things pulling us in every single direction, and every single one of us can think of hundreds of excuses as to why we don't have time to help out with a run or with Death by Chocolate or with the Exchequer or Sergeant at Arms or whatever the committee may be. But as my mom used to teach me as I was a child, many hands make light work. Nowhere is that more true than in Rotary, where as we all unite together, we can become much better than we are individually. Now, I'm going to conclude, and since we're getting close to the end, I had asked each of the board members to come up and to say a few words, but we are drawing close. So I'm going to introduce them one more time and ask them to stand and discuss briefly their areas. I'll mention briefly their areas that they serve in. Our first is Chris Green, who, if you'll stand, please, so everyone can see you. Chris Green will be in charge of our youth activities. The committees in his area include their Interact Club, a strong club over there at Canyon Ridge, RILA, and some other student activities and visitors. Next, we have Autumn Phillips, who emailed me this morning. She couldn't make it today. She's in charge of the area of the Rotary Club, of our club dealing with service. This includes our major fundraisers like Death by Chocolate and Ice Cream Fun Day. It includes service around our world and community service, as well as some local signature projects and local daily projects like the CSI Trail and Paint Magic and the running activities that, the run events that we've been helping with lately. Michelle Bartlemay, ironically, is our public relations specialist.
Imagine that.
Go figure. She helps with all matters public relations, our social interface, our social web, what am I thinking? Social media, there we go, sorry, interface, as well as helping with April, who has been a strong contributor in that committee, to coordinate all of our media for our big events like Ice Cream Fun Day and Death by Chocolate. Next, Jennifer Moss, who is in charge of membership, and this involves the development and mentoring of members, as well as finding new members to join our club. Karen Walker, who also could not be here today, is over fellowship. This is a big committee. This is probably one of the most consistently active committees. It includes our chaplain, the group that leads our prayers at our meetings, our exchequer, our fellowship, social activities, music, and sergeant at arms. All of these are opportunities that have a big need for volunteers to sign up, and so I urge you to sign up and help out with those committees. Melinda Anderson. I see you. There you are. Melinda Anderson is over our programs and education, dealing with our weekly programs as well as education about the Rotary Foundation and Rotary clubs in general. And finally, we have our cleanup hitter, Bob Olin-Salem, who is, although not a head of any of the specific groups, is a chair of many committees within these groups and will hopefully be helping me as we go throughout this year. So, in conclusion, I admonish each of us to remember this year, why are we Rotarians? Why did we join the Rotary Club? Was it because we had, like Jill and Michelle, had family members who were strong Rotary examples before us? Was it like Eric? I've heard his story before about a friendly face and a kind Rotarian inviting him to a meeting and wanting to join. Maybe we're young professionals who were looking for friendship and fellowship. Whatever got us here, we are all here now. And we all have the opportunity to give and to serve. And so we invite each of you this year to remember why you are a Rotarian and to be more involved and to help us as we help make our community and the world a better place. Thank you.